Hi, Rick.
Hi, Eric. Hey, I recognize that one.
Yeah. We're gonna do yours first,
Okay.
because there's a few quick, easy things that you can do. And I haven't tried anything yet, but I'm gonna try. If you look at my screen, look at the top where it says select subject and select in mask.
I need to swap screens. Hold on a sec. There we go. Okay. Now I can read it.
Okay. So see at the very top, it says select subject. And then there's another one that says select and mask.
Yep.
We don't need to mask any, well, we will be doing somewhat of a mask, but not really. And I'll wait for the other two guys to get here and then
Mhm.
we'll go from there.
This looked to me like a real basic lesson
Yeah,
and one that I need.
okay. Well, it's being recorded and you'll also be able to do it in just a few steps. So you'll be able to see that. Would you look at the email invitation I sent you and make sure the other two guys are copied on there?
Lin Kuo is coming in.
Okay, I don't
Yes.
see him.
I'll take a look. Yep, Michael's on there.
They're both on there.
Michael's on the invitation list. Lin Kuo just logged in.
Okay, I don't see either one of them, but
Everything's different when you start sharing your screen.
Eileen Gorley.
Hi, hello, Eric.
And we're waiting for Michael.
Yeah, okay.
He says he didn't get the link.
That's interesting. Let's see. It's addressed to zapperms@gmail.com.
Yep, that's his email.
May have gone to spam. Send it again, or let me forward it to him.
Okay, okay. So Lingual, what we're doing here with this image is Rick has requested that we brighten up his face right here.
Okay.
And can you see my cursor easy enough?
Yes, I
Okay,
can see it moving. Yeah.
and then we're going to take the background, and we're going to darken the background back here.
Yeah. Okay.
And there's a few very simple steps that we can use to do that, probably.
Yeah.
I haven't tried it yet, but
Unfortunately, maybe well, I'll send this to him. I'm not sure. The forward is looking funny.
okay. All he needs is that link. He's writing me something in a text. I don't know what it is. I'll send it to him as well.
I just sent him the link only.
Okay. I sent it to him as well. So between the two of us, he should get it.
It probably has 6 links. Here we go.
Oh, there we go. Hi, Michael.
Okay,
Okay. All right, so this is Rick's image, and what we're gonna do is make some modification. He wants to lighten up his face, and he wants to darken the background, and there's a couple other things I'll suggest. So the first thing we're gonna do, and Photoshop has got some powerful tools to do this, is I'm gonna click up here and I'm gonna click Select Subject. And it's gonna take a second. And look at that. It found
Hmm.
all the people. The only thing that's a little
Wow.
bit weak is your hat, Rick.
Yeah, because it's cut off at the top.
Well, because cut off, but see the one side of it right there, we're not getting the whole,
Ah,
the shadow of that particular thing. But look at how well it even picked up, knocked out the dock down below. in
yeah, that's
between the
spectacular.
Legs.
You didn't give it any guidance?
Nothing. I just said, I clicked Select Subject. And it
Amazing.
has, they've added a lot of AI tools to Photoshop, and they've done a great job with that.
Yeah,
So, okay, so that's the first step. Next step is I'm gonna go over here to select up top here. And I'm gonna say select inverse. And now it's selected everything except for the people.
hmm,
And then I'm gonna do that step first. And I'm gonna do image adjustments, brightness and contrast, and I'm gonna darken the background.
yeah.
And
Darkens everything.
it's darkening the whole background, not the people.
Right. Wouldn't it be better if we could darken only the highlights in the background?
We can do that as well. So, okay, I'll
I'm
get
not
out of
surprised.
that.
I'd already done quite a bit of that with Lightroom before I sent it to you.
Okay. So you're talking about the water, the whatever is the shine on the water or whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so for that, I have the background selected. I'm gonna go to image, adjust, and a little tool down here called replace color. You guys see that?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna hit replace color, and then I'm gonna pick that area. And it's gonna give me a little replace color box, and it says it's kind of a light gray. I'm gonna go to the lightest, so it's almost white at that point. And see this control says fuzziness. That allows me to control anything close to that color. The higher the number, I'm picking more things that are close to it. You can't see it, but it's doing it. And then I'm going to come down here to lightness. And I'm going to reduce the lightness in those areas. Now it's going to make it gray because that's the only thing it can do when it's white. Unless you were to clone in some of the green from the lake. Is that somewhat of what you had in mind, Rick, or,
Mm-hmm.
okay?
So
Yeah,
this is similar to the luminosity mask.
Yes. So it's similar to, there's some masking tools you could use, but this is the most direct, easiest way to do it.
Mhm.
I have
So
a
I'm
question
gonna
for you. Why would you want that to look gray?
what to look red.
Gray.
Oh, gray. Because if you don't want it to look white, the only choice you have, because there's no color in it, is to make it darker and to go to gray. The only other way I would do it is I would clone the water,
Right.
and maybe when we get done here, maybe I'll do that. All right, so I've darkened the whole background. I've darkened the water a little bit. Now I'm going to select inverse again to go back to the people. And I get the feeling that it needs a little bit more brightness on everybody. So we're going to do that first. I'm going to add a little brightness to everybody.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
So everybody looks better now. And now I'm going to say, okay. And then I'm going to go over here to my classic box, the rectangular marquee tool, and I'm going to click off of everything. Now, here's the trick you want, Rick, is that this tool right here, which is a quick selection tool, you want to click that. And then it's going to give me, I'm going to do just your face and your neck there. And I can do the brim of your cap under there as well because it selected it. I could deselect it by hitting Alt on a Windows or Command, I guess, on Mac.
Option,
Which one?
should be option.
Yeah, Option key, okay. And then I could delete that area if I wanted to. Do you want me to delete it or do you want to leave it, Rick?
Now let's leave it.
Okay,
But I think we need to pull the selection up a little bit out of my daughter-in-law's hair.
okay. So I'm gonna hit the Alt key, which is gonna give me negative, and I just took it out.
How did you do that? Were you dragging the dashed line?
All I did was, I'll go back. So it was there, and then I'm gonna take it, I'm gonna push. Rick, you're on a Mac?
Yeah.
Option, okay, so I'm gonna push Option. And I'm putting it right on top of that area, and it's gonna make a negative. I don't know if you could see it. Can you see that little tiny negative
No.
inside the circle?
Yeah,
Oh, there's a dot inside the circle.
Yeah, it's a little tiny line for minus.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna put that right on top of her glasses there, and then
Yeah.
I'm gonna click. And it's gonna take it off of her.
Did it do that automatically or did you drag it that far?
All I did was take that circle and
Mhm.
put it on top of that, about where I thought it needed to be, and then I
Mhm.
clicked it.
You held the key down and pushed the mouse up.
I didn't have to push the mouse. All I did was put
Oh.
the mouse in position while I
Oh,
was holding the key,
Okay.
yes. And then I just left clicked, sorry, I didn't right click, I left clicked it.
okay. Now we can lighten that area.
Yeah, now we've got that selected, and it's just like masking, and it really is masking, but not completely.
Perfect. Yep. That's exactly what I wanted to do. I just didn't know how to do the selection.
Yeah. So now you've got everybody. Do you want me to clone any of the water just for the heck of it, or?
Yeah, let's clone some of the green water and mix in a little bit of green with those formerly white areas.
Okay, so the way I would do it is I would you click on your clone tool. You find an area that you want to clone, so that green, I'm going to hit the Alt key.
I missed the clone tool, Eric. Where is it?
It's over here, looks like a rubber stamp,
Got it. Okay.
okay? Then I'm going to put it over top of an area that I want to use as my clone source.
Yeah.
Then I hit Alt and click, left click it. And then I'm going to paint out some of this water. And I'm going to do this a few times. I'm going to Alt. And then I'm going to drag, Alt click and drag. I just want to get an area that's big enough that I can easily take this now. And I can paint over a larger area.
How did you make that source area larger?
I just started cloning within the source area
Oh, I
itself.
see. I see.
I just made a few selections in there. And you can see how there's shadow on the water, Rick.
Mhm.
So I'm going to stay consistent with that and use the shadow on the water. Now, if I want to be really specific about it, I could use this tool and the polygon lasso tool. And I'd put a small feather. Do you see the feather up here at the top?
mhm.
Yeah.
1 pixel. And then I could draw, carefully along here. And that way, when I go back to my clone tool, I don't have to be careful. It's only going to clone within the
Within that
selected
area.
area, right?
Great.
So that's how you would do that. And I won't do the whole thing, but you could do more cloning. I'd suggest maybe doing something where you take a section of the clone tool and maybe don't do the whole thing, just do a portion. Something like that.
Yeah.
And that way it maintains some of the original look of the water. But completely up to you. That's your choice of how you want to do that.
Mhm.
And that's your image.
Super. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay,
Basic
Michael.
question, Eric.
Yes.
You did this from a JPEG. Is there an advantage to doing it from the raw file?
Yes, because you have a large file. I did it from a JPEG just because it would go quickly. I wouldn't have to wait for anything. But you can go and do your raw file. You have to open up your raw file as either a PSD or a TIFF,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can do all the cloning and all the other things.
Super.
All right. I'm gonna save that just for the heck of it. And we'll go to Michael's image. And okay. All right, Michael.
Yes, sir.
This is an image that he and I worked on one-on-one on this. And now, as I understand it, you're interested in cloning a set of doors and putting them, are we going to put them back here over this metal door?
Over the utility, yeah, over the, that utility closet.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so the concept is cloning, but not really cloning, because we're going to do it a little differently. So which doors do you want? And
Well, it doesn't matter because I thought whatever door appearance I put in there, I could always change the color of it. It doesn't have to be exact clone. It might be better sometime to change the color, but any of those, you can take the blue one, for example, and transform it, make it smaller and put it in that space over the plain door, and then come back later and change the color.
okay. So for this, what I'm going to do is, first thing I'm going to do in our workflow is I'm just going to duplicate the layer. So the background layer stays the way it is. And now I've got a copy of it over here. And then I'm going to go get that polygon lasso tool. And I've got 1 point of feather on it, but I'm going to change that to like 3 points of feather to give it a little bit of a soft edge initially anyway. And then I'm going to zoom in, which is just, I use Control+ on my keyboard and I zoom in. And then I'm going to draw that, I'm going to select that edge very carefully. And I'm making several clicks now in order to select that edge.
Why would you use the quick selection tool for that?
Well, because it's not going to get the edges very cleanly, I don't think. We could try it.
No, that's okay.
No, let's try. I think that's worth giving it a shot. Yeah.
Yeah, I see. Yeah,
That edge is going to give it trouble. It's going to warp
Yeah.
out of it.
okay. Got it.
If you have something that's crisper or a person, because the AI is built for people, by the way. A lot of the Photoshop functions with the AI, the new stuff, is all in their product called Sensei, which is their AI interface. And it's all based on trying to do people. It can do other things, but people are its main function. Now I'm going around this edge of the doorway because we're going to have to clone back a little bit of it as we go. So I'm going to also take the steps since
Yeah.
we're going to need those.
Right.
And I'm not sure exactly how to do that, but I'm going to take a kind of a rough grab at those stones. And all I'm doing is I'm pushing that forward with my mouse, and then I'm clicking every time I have a decision to make it a corner. I click, 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 click. And now I'm clicking, clicking, clicking.
Now, Eric, what if you made a mistake and you wanted to add or subtract a little of the lasso selection?
Then you can just hit delete and it will go back one step.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So I'll click it. I've got it clicked up here, but if I push delete, it'll take away one of those points.
Okay.
So it's just making a series of points for the selection. Okay. So now the smart thing to do is to take the move tool up here. I'm not actually going to move it. I just hit the move tool. So when I, oops, sorry, I didn't want that tool. I wanted the marquee tool. So when I right click inside the door, I'm going to hit layer via copy.
Okay, good.
I don't want to cut it out of there. I just want to copy it.
All right.
And now if you look over here at my layers panel, I have a door in my layers panel.
All right.
Now I'll hit my move tool and I can take that door and the steps and I can bring it over there.
You're
Now,
working in the layer you just created, which is the door only.
correct.
Now so you're working in that layer, then you went back to the image and you used the selection tool, or did you just use the move tool? I couldn't quite.
Just the move tool so I can move it. Now I've got to scale the size because it's way too big.
Right.
Now, interestingly enough, since it's a double door,
Oh,
it's not going to fit in there.
yeah.
We could have it cover two doors. But I don't think that was your intention, huh?
No, the intent was to fill it, just cover that utility door.
Yeah, so here's what we could do. I'm gonna click enter, which just, I'm not gonna do anything with that. I moved it over there. And now I'm going to cut it in half. I'm gonna go up the step, I'm gonna go over. And I'm gonna cut most of it in half because I still need a door frame for the other side. So that's my selection. I'm going to delete the right-hand side of that door.
You just use the delete key. Okay.
Yep. And now I'm going to select the door frame. And I'm going to bring it over here. And then I'm going to do Control T, which is for transform.
Yeah,
And I'm gonna grab a corner and I'm gonna shrink it down to a size that we can use. Let me make this bigger so we can all see it better, including me. Okay. So there's your door frame. And now it's not quite long enough. So there's a trick for that. The trick is I'm going to hit, it's already selected in transform. So I'm going to hit shift and that'll let me transform it only vertically. So I can pull that down to about there. And now my door frame's on there. And I'm gonna click enter. And then I'm gonna click off of the marquee tool. And the door frame is there. It's one piece, right? Even though it was two pieces, I merged those two pieces together just by sliding it over. Does that make any sense?
yeah,
I created a gap, but when I slided this back over, then that took away the gap. Okay, so now I have this. And so I need to do Control T again to transform. And I'm gonna make that doorway smaller.
yeah,
Now, we're probably gonna have to clone out that ironwork up there. Is that okay?
yeah, yeah. Mhm.
Okay. So I'm gonna bring it all the way over with a tiny bit of gap in there. Now, it's in transform, but it's not straight up and down. See how that door is not straight?
Yeah,
Not in that position anyway. So now I hit my skew tool
yeah, yeah.
and I'm going to grab that corner to make it vertical. And I'm going to grab this corner down here to make that more vertical. Now, do you want me to make it taller to
No.
line up with this
Oh,
one?
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, just a little taller. It doesn't, yeah, maybe just a little taller. Yeah,
Okay, so I'm going to hit the shift key because it's already transformed. Oh, sorry, I have the skew on still, so I have to take that off. So I will just say enter. Now I'll do Control T again for transform. And then I have to hit shift and hold that down. And then I'll pull it up to make it those doors the same height. Okay,
yeah. Okay, good. All right.
so that's part of the way there. The staircase down here is a little bit of a problem. So let's look and see. I'm going to turn off the bottom layers and see what I need to do there. So I think what I can do is just cut
Well, that
off.
worked out. I think that looks okay.
I think I'll just cut off this piece of the staircase. And then I'll need to clone a little bit of this. So go back to my clone tool and the tools over on the left. And then I'm going to choose right here. And I'm going to fill in some of that stairway.
Okay, good.
Now we could separate the stairways, or we could just say it's one long stairway or whatever it is.
That's fine. You can leave it that way for today. Okay, well, that did a nice job. Now,
Now, if you want to clone that piece back here, what's nice is that right now I'm on the door layer, that extra door that I made. But if I go back down to the background image, you can see that that ironwork is showing through, but now it's easy because I don't have to worry about, the door is going to cover up any mistake I make. So I can just clone right here and I can paint anywhere I want.
Now, I noticed that you use the clone tool a lot more. My go-to tool is the content aware tool.
Yeah, but it's just, you have too much detail here for a content aware tool,
Okay,
but
yeah, that looked good. Okay, good.
now you've got a blue door down there. And
Yeah, thank you.
we still have that one section. So once again, I'll use my polygon selection tool, and I'm going to come down here with a 1-point feather this time. And I'm going to line these areas up so I can select just that area. I'll go back to the door layer and I will clone that with a small size brush. Hardness on this probably doesn't matter because it's the doors in the background. But now I can paint that in, and
Yeah.
now it looks like it's always been there.
Magic.
Mm.
All magic.
Mhm.
Yeah, that came out just about right. I guess if I were gonna do it, not tonight, but I would have put a little bit more space on the left side of the door you pasted in there. Because it doesn't look exactly right. There's a little more space to the right of the new door than there is to the left. So if I
So
were
that's
to,
an, that's an easy fix by going back to the door layer and Control T and Shift. And I'm going to make that door a little more narrow.
yeah. It's magic, all right.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. Give me a little more, yeah, okay, well, that looks nice. I think on another day I can go in there and change the color of it.
And submit it to a club competition.
There
Well,
you go.
it's not my work.
Oh,
But it's a great idea. I might do it on another image.
that's not your photo, Michael?
That's my photo, the one I wanted, you mean?
This one.
Yeah,
Oh, it's your photo. Well, you could submit it under color pictorial, right?
Yeah.
well, but you did the work. It's not,
Well, no, but on the JPEG, you're going to have to do it on yours. Yeah.
I was gonna say. Yeah, I might work on that, like, yeah.
Erica,
Yes.
I have a question. When you save, there's a several of the options, and which one do you select?
I always say, if I have a raw file, for example, is what I'm starting with. And then when I get into Photoshop, I either save it as a PSD, which is a Photoshop file. The problem with that is that when you go to look at your images, there's no thumbnail picture of it. So PSD is one option, but I almost always save as a TIFF, TIF, because there's always the thumbnail that you can visually see. The
Does that
file.
save the layers? So if you came back
Saves
to it
all,
later?
saves all the layers, saves everything.
Okay.
It's exactly the same as a PSD file. It's just a TIFF. They could almost get rid of PSD files.
You know what, my workflow is, I'm in Lightroom for the most part. And
Yeah,
in Lightroom, there's an edit with command. And then
right.
you edit in Photoshop,
Yeah.
which you've just done. And now I'm done with the work for the day. And I want to get it back to my Lightroom catalog. But I
Yeah,
also want to preserve all those layers so that later on I can return to this and work on it some more. How do you do that?
You just save it as a TIFF and make sure it saves in the same file folder as your Lightroom uses.
Now,
It's
Erica,
there. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, Erica, what I mean is that when you select save, there's a pop-up box, and there's a several checkpoints. So which I see you have different check for the option.
Okay, let me let me close this and then I'll open it again because you can see all the options. So file open. And I will open Michael's TIFF file.
I didn't see where you saved TIFF. You didn't save it as a TIFF. I missed that.
I did. So you can do file, when you do file save, or you can do file save as, it will offer you TIFF.
Oh, I see.
And or excuse me, yeah, Adobe just updated and now they say to get anything besides a TIFF, you have to save as a copy. And now this will give you a long list of, you can save it as a JPEG, PNG. TIFF is at the very bottom. It's in well, no, it's not in alphabetical order. I was gonna say it used to be. And the Photoshop documents up here.
But do all of them preserve the layers or is it?
No, only the TIFF and the Photoshop versions will preserve the layers,
Okay.
but it'll warn you if you hit something
So it goes
else.
back, so if you save in a TIFF format,
Yeah,
you say save as or just,
you can do just save or save a copy,
okay,
any of these, and you can still get to the TIFF file. But if you just say save as, it won't give you JPEG, it won't give you PNG, it won't give you those other options.
okay, now you've done the save, oh, you've got the format that you want,
Yeah.
and and when you click save, it'll go back to its place in the Lightroom catalog.
Right here, right here. I mean, there's several options, right?
Yes,
You have the interleave and the IBM PC. And so you don't have a compression.
no, you don't want to compress it because LZW is called a lossless compression,
Uh-huh.
but it can still cause damage when you reopen. It's
Oh.
rare, but it's been true of a couple of my files. So I never compress.
And I'm using the Apple computer. So the buy order, should I choose Macintosh?
Yes, you would just click the byte order for his Macintosh. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Everything else is the same. You want to have it interleaved, which means it opens more quickly. You want to have RLE because we're dealing with raw files. You want bigger files.
Oh, okay. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay.
Now,
Oh,
let
what
me
does that
finish
mean?
up.
That's a safe image pyramid.
Save
The
image
left- on the
pyramid.
left. Yeah.
Actually, it says preserves multi-resolution information readable by InDesign.
Oh, okay.
You're not using.
Yeah.
So as a matter of fact, I've never clicked that box,
Okay.
but that's what it means.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
But that's a nice image, Michael.
Thank you.
I would walk down that little street.
Yeah, that's nice.
Well, I think we're going to run out of time, guys. But that was just a few quick notes. And what do you think of this format to take actual images and use those instead of teaching a lesson?
I like that format.
I think it's very helpful. I still feel unprepared to take this type of lesson, but I learned nonetheless. I would
Yeah.
learn more if I knew more coming in.
Yeah. Well, watch the recording and fix up that image, Rick. And if you have any trouble, send it to me and tell me your problems and I'll try to fix it for you.
Would you please send me the processed image so I can have that as a target?
Sure. Yeah.
Super. Thanks very much. That was great, Eric.
How do we get a copy of the recording that you made?
I'll send you the link.
Okay,
Thank
Yeah.
you.
What it does is it's a very huge file. It has to process the file and then I put it on my YouTube channel. So I'll send you a YouTube link
Okay.
and it should show you all the moves I made and hopefully I've repeated myself enough times that we'll get there.
Okay.
I mean, that's just remarkable that can be done. I just blows me away.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, I'll say.
Yeah,
you
there's
know,
a lot of magic in Photoshop, that's for sure.
Well, I tend to use Lightroom because I don't know Photoshop very well. But in
Yeah.
Rick's picture with the bright, whatever it was on the lake, I would, in Lightroom, I would have just gone to the whatever light, you can slide the light highlights, that's it. You
Highlights.
can slide the highlights all
Yeah.
the way to the left and that would dim it.
Yeah, it would still turn gray. It would do the same thing.
It still
that-
would turn gray?
Yeah, I just use a different tool because there's no color information in there. It's all blown out to white.
Yeah, but you still want it to have a little white, don't you, Rick? Did you want some white in there?
A little bit of white is fine. That's a sun reflection. And I had already used darken the highlights.
Oh,
Yeah.
you did, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a tough one. So cloning, it's your secret weapon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Terrific. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's terrific.
All right, we'll do this again with images in a couple of weeks or a month, depending on the schedule. I'll have to look through and we'll figure it out.
And congratulations again on your daughter's marriage.
You know, she did an amazing, I wrote the check, she did all the things, and she did a great job.
Good.
That's great. That's a good way to